Solar system, GPS. I love the classes because they go in depth from world leading individuals of accomplishment and explain their mastery in their field. And right now I'm listening to Chris Hadfield. He's an astronaut. Describe just so many principles of space and space travel and astronautics, if that's a word, being an astronaut. So, one thing he's talking about now is navigation and how we navigate, in space and going to the moon and things of that nature and orbits and changing orbits and things of that nature. And I think this is a whole new industry. Like as SpaceX goes to Mars and as we start eventually, whether it be Titan or, other places within the solar system and then eventually outside the solar system, we'll need, the complement of GPS. Like GPS won't be just bound by earthbound, well, GPS, excuse me, is bound by earthbound satellites, but eventually we'll need, relay stations throughout the universe, satellites or positionings throughout the, not throughout the universe, but throughout the solar system. So, once you start taking a left at Mars and heading towards Jupiter, then you can navigate between Mars and Jupiter, and then you can navigate between Jupiter and its moons, and then you can navigate also in the asteroid belt, and as you start going to Neptune and Uranus and Pluto. So it's kind of interesting. Like on Earth, we have like highways and markers like 87 South or 85 North or Route 13 West, and we have whole designers and planners of how we, navigate on Earth, and then we have, tunnels being created by the Boring Company. We have air taxis, some people, call them flying cars. So there's different ways of navigating, bullet trains and smart roads and public transportation. So, the infrastructures of human transportation on Earth are becoming more and more complex and hopefully well integrated. I mean, think about that as it applies to going from Mars to Jupiter. Are there certain like roads, quote unquote, that have been traveled that could guide you going from Mars to Jupiter? What would those look like? I mean, how would they function? And then as you go from Jupiter to Jupiter's moons, what is that like? What is that like in terms of like for example, like the tunnels that the Boring Company is doing is like the Teslas automatically fit in them, and they are, I don't know if it's pressurized or whatever, but they travel at high rates of speed by the way they're positioned. Is that going to be the same thing as we travel between Mars and Jupiter? In terms of it being the same conceptually. So start thinking about your solar system GPS. You won't be calling it GPS because GPS, the G means global, I believe, global positioning system. And, by definition, other planets are not global because global refers to Earth. But by analogy, it'll be, like Chris Hadfield was saying, LPS. It'll be lunar positioning systems, or it'll be Jupiter positioning systems. So look forward to that.